Good
Hello.
afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. Have you ever thought about selling a house, buying a house, or even being a real estate agent? Have you? Well, if you have, or even if you haven't, my next guest will kind of give you some insight into that, okay? So, this is Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. It's your gateway to engaging with the brightest minds across a spectrum of different industries. So, join me today as I welcome Derek Jackson.
Hi, good morning, Kelly. It's great to be here with
Hi.
you.
Let me read a little bit about Derek's background before we get into his talk about real estate vision and the human side of home. Derek is a real estate expert with a sharp eye for detail and a background in construction. Based in San Francisco for over 17 years, he helps clients find homes full of potential across San Francisco, Marin, and the East Bay. Whether you're a first-time buyer or searching for a forever home, Derek brings passion, precision, and a people-first approach to every step of the journey. What do you think about that? Yes, I cannot wait to dive into this. But Derek, before we learn what sparked you with your love for real estate, I'd like to walk down memory lane with you and let the folks know how you and I met. And it actually was kind of like a real estate thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was a housewarming party for your neighbor who I helped buy their property, and
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
was fortunate to be invited. And then you and I just kind of huddled up in the kitchen and hung out there for a while. It was really
Yep.
nice getting to
Oh
chat
no,
with you
it
and your husband.
was awesome. It was awesome. And yeah, and I love my new neighbors. And yeah, so that's how Derek and I met, actually, because he had just sold a home in, my neighborhood. So Derek, let's get started with the beginning of your career. So where were you born and raised, and what schools did you go to, and all that other good jazz?
Yeah, I'm a native Californian. I grew up in Fresno, right smack in the middle of the state, the Midwest of California. It's a little bit different than here in the Bay Area. But yeah, I grew up there, went through high school, of course. And part of kind of my initial exposure to construction and being around the house was with our handyman John Lyons, who would come over and work for my mom around the house, and I was just a very curious young man, so I would follow him around and just learned initially from him about home repair and how things work.
Okay.
And then I went to UCLA and studied economics there, and came to San Francisco right afterwards in 2004.
Oh,
So actually over 20 years now. I worked for a big real estate developer here in San Francisco, and then went into sales at Solar City, selling solar power.
okay.
Um,
Wow.
and I had a couple of jobs in renewables before I decided to come back to real estate on the residential side about 10 years ago with Vanguard Properties, where I've been practicing ever since. And yeah, it's been a really great, rewarding career, entrepreneurial, um, flexible schedule. We work at all hours, but
Yeah.
also have the opportunity to take downtime and kind of control my own schedule and manage my own business, which is exciting. And yeah, I've had really a lot of fun with it. I've been very fortunate to be able to do this here in San Francisco, where we have so many amazing properties. Lots of really beautiful historic Victorian and Edwardian homes that are just so unique. Every property is different, and there's so much history in this city that we're always learning about on a block by block basis. It's a fascinating place to do real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So now tell me this. How on earth does your background in construction give you a unique advantage? Because this is where construction meets vision. And how does that influence the way you guide clients through home buying, the home buying process? How does that work?
Yeah, well, I've been super handy from the get-go. When I was young, I was like even in high school, kind of working as a handyman. I did a lot of odd jobs and got into construction on the labor side, working for one of my best friend's fathers doing residential remodel projects in the summers, over college and after college. And then on the commercial side of real estate, was managing construction projects and build out of tenant improvement projects in high-rise buildings. So, um, kind of from the granular level all the way up to like bigger projects, had the opportunity to see different levels of construction and have a pretty good grasp for it. And I think it's a benefit to my clients because I really am able to help them identify good construction and bad construction,
Right, right.
quality, helping them see through the, lipstick and paint and the staging and, let's look at what the house really is and how it's built and help them see beneath the scenes, how the house is put together to help educate them as well, so going into, the basement and looking through the systems of the house and helping explain to my clients what they should be looking for when they go to open houses, um, and how we identify different, aspects of the building systems and their vintage and their future need for repair. And then those costs, that are associated with this. Every house is, kind of a living, breathing thing, and it's got all these different components, and each component has a lifespan. So you want to be able to help your clients identify what costs are going to be coming up in the future. How long is this roof going to last? How long is the furnace going to last? And then finally, with projects that they may want to do, a lot of times houses in the city are not perfect, and people always go through open houses with big ideas.
Uh-huh. Like, give me an
Which
example of what one of those big ideas would be. Like, what is that like?
Well, you see you see houses in all states here for sure, and a lot of times they're, legacy family homes that haven't been on the market for 50 years or have, major deferred maintenance. So I think as a buyer, it's really easy to get kind of caught up in these dreams of a fixer-upper.
Okay,
And we're
okay.
going to do a kitchen remodel and we're going to take these walls down and move this around and put that over there. Um, is it possible? Of course, everything is possible. It's just a matter of money. But I think a lot of times buyers are underestimate the cost and complexity and time involved in these
Mm-hmm.
different types of projects, especially in a city like San Francisco, which is uh, notoriously expensive and time consuming to permit and get through, if you want to expand outside the envelope of the house, the outside of the existing structure that you have to start with. Now you need to do what's called a 311 neighborhood notification. And,
Right.
these different steps with different projects can slow you down, 6 to 8 months. Um, and I think in general, folks are often very surprised at just how expensive it is to build here, especially since the pandemic. Prices have really just kind of gone through the roof. It makes it cost prohibitive to do a lot of the projects people have in mind. So just preparing my clients in terms of costs and time for what it will take to do the kinds of projects they want. On the other hand, what I'm also helping them look for are the easier things to repair. Like if you don't need to relocate everything and move walls, a lot of times a simple cosmetic update
Mm.
can make a huge difference. And so I help my clients on the listing side. When I'm the listing agent selling a property, a lot of times we'll help them do a smaller set of improvements. Um, Call it lipstick, but paint, polishing the floors, changing out the hardware and fixtures, and preparing a property for market. And that can often yield a 2, 3, or 4x return on their investment in the sales price.
Mm.
And then with buyers, if somebody wants to do those types of repairs, I can bring in one of the contractors that I work with frequently and help them get set up to do a set of improvements after they purchase the property.
And see, and that's a beautiful thing that you do have the construction contacts to be able to help them with that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And bids can vary widely. So having a book of contractors and tradespeople that I work with regularly that are reasonably priced and reliable is a pretty big asset to my clients.
I'm gonna tell you something. People are gonna hit you up for this because they're constantly like, Kelly, who is your contractor? And I'm just like, Lord have mercy, Jesus. Now, tell me this. How can you tell a home is worth the investment? Like, I know some of the things that you just said describing, but like for you in terms of how do you pick a client? Maybe that's what I'm asking more so than anything. How do you, or do they come to you, I guess. I don't know how that works really.
Yeah, I mean, you meet folks all kinds of ways. I mean, sometimes at an open house, or a housewarming party, you run into
Right.
people. Um, I have a pretty good sphere of, in a network in San Francisco because I've been here for such a long time. So probably about almost half of my business is referral from past clients
Okay.
or friends or professional contacts. Um, I meet folks that come into open houses at a listing frequently, because that's where people start their
That's
search.
where they start. Yeah.
And so if somebody comes in and maybe this isn't the right house for them, but if you hit it off with somebody and they need help, and you can be a resource to them, meet people that way. Um, so yeah, a lot of different ways that clients come to me or I find them. Um, but I think it generally has to be a certain level of trust and connection.
Hmm.
It has to go both ways with somebody like they need to be realistic. I have to like them to a certain extent and want to invest a lot of time and energy because, the way we make money is on a fee basis,
Right.
and I don't get paid until the property
The show
closes.
sells. Now tell me
Yeah.
this. What is the most common misconception people have about buying or selling a home?
You know, um, I think one of them I would say is people get really hung up on list price.
Mm.
And so it's part of the education process for sure. A lot of times in the Bay Area, a list price is low, a teaser price or an auction price. And so you see things listed at 995 and they may end up selling with multiple bids well over that price. So, and you see other things that are listed too high and sell under. So especially in today's market, which is, really different than it was a few years ago with a lot higher interest rates. There are sellers that are taking losses in today's
Oh,
market.
wow.
A lot of buyers are getting fantastic deals, but you got to be able to see through the list price and really think for yourself about value and what the property is really worth and not just get hung up on the sticker price. So I think that's one. I think a lot of people assume that homeownership is out of reach and impossible for them and don't really look into the details. And the reality is, especially today, where, the condo market is down in San Francisco, in some cases 10 or even 25%. So there are a lot of really great buying opportunities out there. And, now is the time for folks that thought they couldn't buy. There are FHA loans. There are all kinds of ways that you can buy with a lower down payment, as little as 3% down.
Here in San
And
Francisco, even?
yes, these types of instruments were typically not competitive and didn't work very well in San Francisco, let's say 5 or 10 years ago,
Okay.
because it's such a tight, impacted, and competitive market. But here we are today, where a lot of units may be sitting on the market, and so you can use these types of loans that you couldn't 5 years ago. So I
Okay.
think really um, looking into the different instruments that you have available, and don't just assume it's impossible.
What about for like single parents? What is that like? That's a whole different
Well,
thing, isn't it?
I mean, being a single parent, I think I have no doubt for most folks is, financially a struggle, but at the end of the day, it's just going to come to down payment. And I think as a single parent, you're looking for stability and certainty and knowing that you have a place where you can, raise your child. Um, Buying a home is, still the American dream, and I think a really important part of that stability and knowing, hey, the rent's not going to go up, they're not going to sell the building, or nothing's going to change here because I own my home. So
Okay.
I think that that's a yeah, great
Wow.
part of single parenting.
Wow. It sounds like a lot. It's a
It,
lot. And I mean, so not only are you a realtor, you are an educator, an advocate. So you have all of these different roles,
a marriage counselor.
right? So how do you navigate through all of that in terms of recharging yourself? What do you do to kind of give yourself downtime from this?
I love people, and so I think I thrive in that. I find it I do this because I find it really rewarding. I love to fix up a listing and make it look great. I love to help somebody find their dream house and get settled in,
It's
and
wonderful.
it's just something that I find really rewarding. So yeah, the job and the day-to-day can sometimes be draining, but I think the reward of like handing someone keys
Oh,
when they
absolutely.
close escrow is, it's a really
Yeah.
special feeling and a great opportunity to help people.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I stay pretty active to your question. I've got to get my blood up, and I go swim a couple times a week or go ride my bike or do yoga and all the normal stuff to keep myself balanced.
Okay, so you're not jumping out of airplanes or anything like that.
No, I have one time.
Okay. See, I was
Not a day
wondering
to
if you got
day.
that adventurous energy.
I'll jump in the bay. I'll jump in the
Okay.
bay. That's about as adrenaline junkie as I get.
No, that's I kind of thought that about you. I had that kind of vibe that you was kind of, to me that's like daredevilish, but um so I was going to say, what are some of the neighborhoods that sell the most here in the Bay Area? Is there a certain neighborhood or
Yeah, I mean, there's some neighborhoods that just continue to be so attractive. Here in San Francisco, Bernal Heights has just been a hot spot for the last, 10, 15 years now, and it's
wow.
really um, climbed so far. Nobody really cared about Bernal 20 years ago, and now it's one of the most popular neighborhoods in San Francisco. Cole Valley is super popular. Um, uh, over here where I live, in the Potrero Hill and the Dog Patch is one of the most dynamic parts of San Francisco because they're redeveloping the entire southeast waterfront.
Hmm.
So you're seeing just, a lot of new blocks and areas of San Francisco open up that are going to be full of, shopping and condominiums and housing, and that area is really exciting to me. Across the bay, I mean, people still love to live in Berkeley and some of those neighborhoods, even little 1920s craftsman homes now that sell for over $2 million
Oh, wow.
in Berkeley are there's just an unbelievable demand for those properties. Um, and the peninsula is just, the what tech has done to pricing the peninsula is really astounding. I mean, the properties, up and down the peninsula that 10 years ago might have been $1 million or, $4 million for small homes. I mean, it's really amazing prices. And of course, that's driven by the tech industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And so, as the tech industry, they're coming back, I hear, right? Is that what's happening?
absolutely. Yeah. Return to work policies with a lot of these companies is bringing people back to San Francisco. San Francisco is bringing people back to San Francisco because, as you and I know, as long-term residents, there's nothing quite like this place.
Right,
And
absolutely.
I think we saw a lot of people leave during the pandemic, and the city's had its challenges. We're really excited about our new mayor, and the quality of life on the streets is getting better on a day-to-day basis. And every open house I run, I have people walk in that are empty nesters that want to move here. Maybe their kids are in the neighborhood. Maybe they're bored of being in the suburbs. Young professionals that are coming to San Francisco from all over the country.
Okay.
And on a personal and professional basis, a lot of people that left who are coming back and realize that wherever they went is not quite as magical as San Francisco.
Yeah, and I've always heard that if you leave San Francisco, it's going to be impossible to come back because of the pricing. So evidently that's not true.
Well, what we're seeing right now is rents spiking because of that. So that's your leading indicator, and rents are going up, which is a sign that that people are coming back and demand is up for rental apartments. Typically, people start in a rental when they move here, and then if you're around for a year or two and you realize, hey, the it may actually make sense to buy, or hey, I want to be here, or hey, look how low these prices are. Um, Now is a great time to buy. So I think that when you see rents spike the way they are now, it means it's probably a good time to buy real estate. And I do think that we're seeing that, influx. I mean, I've been here for 20 years, and so I've seen this a few times. And every time people say, "Oh, San Francisco's dead," but you and I know that the city,
Right. Ebb and
has a
flow.
certain rhythm to it, and it's been a boom and bust town since the gold rush. And I
And
think
it's
that we're
always been known as a very kind of quote unquote rich town, right? It's always been known as that. So, I think a lot of people have this misconception, but it is a money town.
It is a money town, but I think that, over the last 4 years, our real estate has, since the pandemic, prices in San Francisco have been flat or down in some cases, while, the rest of the state and a lot of other markets continue to rise.
Hmm.
And now we're seeing a nationwide slowdown. While I think San Francisco is going to buck the trend, I think that we're going to lead the recovery, and that we're going to see prices start to go back up here as people come back into the city.
Well, what's like an average price for a home? And of course, I know how you said the listings and all of that stuff can go up and down based on how people are bidding for it and whatnot. But just on average, how much are houses selling for?
Well, a single family home in San Francisco, the average, gosh, is over $1.5 million. And that's, citywide. Obviously, in certain neighborhoods, you can't get a single family home for under $2 million. Um, but there are still a lot of neighborhoods in San Francisco where you can get a single family home for around $1 million, and really nice neighborhoods like Portola, Excelsior, places that have good schools and are maybe just a little bit outside of the central bubble. Like if you go a little bit farther south or west, there's still great houses in this neighborhood that are reasonably priced. And then the condo market, the prices would be on average a little bit lower. But gosh, you can get, a nice condominium in the city for six or $700,000. And so I do think, if you look into certain programs with lower down payments, um, that it's relatively accessible for a lot of people that may think it's not.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I'm thinking about that, especially when I think about, a diverse group of people in terms of, like I said, the single parent families, or even two working class families that just aren't making enough to purchase $1 million home. What
Mhm.
options do they have? So they would have to go outside of San Francisco. Is that it? Is that because I know a lot of people I know, a lot of African Americans have moved to Antioch
Yes.
and they were able
Yeah.
to buy homes there.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the story. I think if you drive until you qualify. So San Francisco has typically been the more expensive city center.
Hmm.
Now, today, we're seeing a lot of these suburbs, especially ones around tech campuses that have really outpaced San Francisco. And they make city real estate look like a pretty good deal these days. But like you said, there's still a lot of really nice communities a little farther north. Go to Novato, go north a little farther, go, yeah, out to the East Bay, Antioch, and some of these neighborhoods in around Hayward that are very nice places to live that have really reasonable prices. You're
Yeah.
still, accessible to the city with BART, and it's not really that far away from the city center. So I think for everybody, it depends on um, your your dream about where you want to live, where are your friends, where is your life, where are your schools.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd like to think that everybody can find the right place for
Right
them and their
place.
lifestyle.
Now let's talk about staging. I am always so
Yeah.
amazed at that. I mean, man, they can make a place look so beautiful. But one of the
Yes.
things that really tickles me to no end with the staging, I'm like, okay, let's get real. With the closet space where they just show like three little items in the closet. It's like, you know what? You guys need to get a little bit more realistic with putting some clothes in there so you can really see how much that
Yeah.
closet could really hold.
Yeah, I tell people, look, like get a ruler and go to your closet at home and
Hmm.
measure how many feet of hanging clothes do you have?
Okay.
And then you can
Okay.
kind of think about that when you go see properties. And a lot of these older houses in Victorian era, they didn't have closets, they had a trunk.
Right.
So we certainly live in a different age and have a lot more stuff. Newer renovations typically account for storage space. There are lots of ways to get creative with storage in spaces. We have amazing um, racks that you can put up in the garage or shelving, or things that'll even like pulley systems that'll take things out of sight or out of height, higher up. So there, I think, a lot of creative ways to maximize storage in any given property. But you said it. You said it. I mean, staging is there to
Entice.
stimulate your senses and to help you dream and,
Oh,
imagine
baby.
yourself living in this house. So that is part of my job is to help my clients get past that and focus on some of the fundamentals when it comes to the property, the natural light, the square footage, the floor plan, the fit and finish. Is it quality or is it just lipstick?
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
I know, now my husband and I just went to IKEA and they do some serious staging there as well. And they show you how to decorate a small area. And
mhm.
they do such a beautiful job. So, like you said, the different hanging things, they have all kinds of different things that you can use to make a small place look absolutely elegant.
For a really great price too. And I
Yes.
think, it's easy to get caught up like over this society but the reality is we have access to so many amazing
Hmm.
products and tools and solutions that, for that you can make a small space look and feel great.
Yeah.
And you don't need to spend a ton of money on design. IKEA and other more reasonably priced cabinet makers and furniture
Hmm.
makers have all kinds of great solutions for really reasonable price. And it just takes a little bit of creativity and um, taking that first step to get an agent, go to the open house, and start your search.
So now let's get back to the staging, because like I said, that always interests me because I actually taught image consulting at City College, and some of my students were also very interested in interior design and they wanted to be stagers. And they use image consulting as a one of their steps to getting to that. And I always often wondered, okay, like where are you guys getting the different furniture? So are you renting them from certain places to bring in, or you have certain stuff of your own? How does that work?
Yeah, we work with professional stagers. So there are a number of companies that do this type of work, and they have their own inventory of furniture. Most stagers will buy, from all over the place, and probably they could probably get a lot of stuff secondhand. You can get amazing furniture on Facebook Marketplace for very low prices.
Hmm.
And so in our case, we work with professional stagers who have an inventory, and we trust them to come in and, and really make a home shine and to help you produce really great photos. We do use all the tricks. Like you want those bright pillows that really make a photo
Right,
pop, and
right.
the ways that we market property to maximize foot traffic and exposure and ultimate sales price. Staging is one of the best tools we have in our toolbox, and there's a full range. There are very economical stagers that do a good job with a pretty small budget, and there are some stagers that could charge you 20, 30, 40 plus $1,000 to stage a home
Yeah,
and bring
yeah.
in a plethora of furniture and design, and can really elevate a property.
Yeah. And so those are other areas when I think about careers for people. So if you're not interested in being a real estate agent, you can be a stager. What are some of the other industries or careers you can have in your industry?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. It is a whole industry, and there are a whole bunch of industries adjacent that service real estate agents and transaction facilitates transactions in real estate. We work with title companies and escrow companies that help run the transactions and hold the deposit for our clients. We work with stagers. Obviously, we work with contractors, and there are a number of companies that do improvements for realtors like me. So you could bring
Okay.
somebody in and say, hey, we have a budget of $25,000. We need to gussy this house up prior to sale. So there are a lot of people that will just help manage small projects like that for real estate agents. Um, and then all of the marketing as well. Like we work with photographers and videographers.
Oh, okay, there you
And there are a
go.
number of companies like Open Door and Aerial Canvas that help put together our marketing packages and do the photography and video for each property.
Now, so like what kind of career educational background do you have to become a realtor? Is there a lot, is that intense or how does that work?
Yeah, the licensing process for realtors is pretty straightforward. It's a state test. You have to renew every 4 years.
Oh, wow.
As a sales associate, you hang your license with a broker. So in my case, my brokerage is Vanguard Properties, and it's not a really difficult test. I think what most realtors find is that, it gives you some of the fundamentals and the real estate law background. But most of what we do, we learn, at our brokerages and in the field. It's in a sales intense environment, and, a lot of the things that you learn on your license, you don't come across and use on a daily basis. You really need to get into the business and maybe find a good mentor, find a good brokerage where you can get your career started, and find somebody who has a lot of experience that can help you along the way.
Yeah, so sales is really a big part of it. And so, in order to have sales, I know this from my own background, you definitely have to have confidence. You have to be a people person. All of that plays a big role in that, right?
Yeah, it's fundamentally the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. I mean, obviously there are a lot of components here when it comes to buying a house. You need to be trusted, and you need to connect with your client, and to have this bond. But you also, when you see something great and you can convey how exciting that is to your client and get your client excited about that's an important part of our sales. And it's a daunting task to, for most folks, it's the largest purchase they'll ever make.
Yes, absolutely.
It can induce a lot of anxiety,
A
a lot of
whole
people when they
lot.
get into contract, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So helping people walk through that and keeping them calm, keeping them safe, and walking through this process is an important part of our job.
So now how, after you sell the house and you got them to trust you, they said, okay, I want to do this. How often do you keep in touch with them? Is it just a short period of time? I'm sure so you probably have relationship with people that you build and it becomes a forever friendship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I generally, the folks that I work with become friends. It's oftentimes, it's kind of interesting because it is a very close and kind of intense relationship. You generally with these people and you see them every week, you see them
right.
nonstop, and you're talking all the time, and that process can run anywhere from a few weeks to several months. I've had clients that look for a full year. Um, and then they buy their house and then
It's
you don't
over
have to
with.
talk every day anymore.
Right, right. Now,
So,
so have
but
you ever had where you sold a house and you went about your business, you didn't hear from them, and then years later, or not even necessarily years later, maybe months later, something goes wrong in that house. Do they call you or have anybody ever done that with
of
you?
course, yes, they always call me. And something always goes wrong when you buy a new house. I typically buy a home warranty for my clients to help cover them for the first year because it's Murphy's
Okay,
Law. When you
okay.
buy a new house, a pipe's going to break or something's going to go, or your appliance is going to go out. So having a home warranty is a nice benefit. But yeah, I'm always happy to be a resource. And oftentimes my clients will call me later and say, "Oh my gosh, the roof leaked." And I'm always there to support them and help bring over tradespeople or help them get the home repaired. So I can just consider that's part of my suite of services. And once you're a client, you're always a client.
Man, that's no joke, huh? It's like yes for life. But that's a beautiful thing, like I said, you are definitely not just a realtor sales agent, you are an educator, an advocate. So all of those things rolled into one. And like you said, even a therapist or whatever, happens to pop up and you're there and they're asking you questions, I'm sure you know how to get the answers to them and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, it is a education heavy field for sure. And you've got most people just don't know a lot about homes. So getting my clients up to speed and helping them understand a lot of these various factors about the home and the market are part of my job.
Yeah, and so your background in economics, construction, I mean, you were like a whole little package.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's awesome. I love it. So now, as we get ready to close out, I would like to know what is your favorite neighborhood and why?
Ooh, my favorite neighborhood. Well, I live in over here in Potrero Hill, which is certainly one of my favorite neighborhoods because it is the sunniest part of San Francisco. And, even right now, in the middle of July, when we're having all this fog, I see the blue sky coming out, and it's probably foggy across most of San Francisco. So that's
Yes,
been
it's
one of the
very
real
foggy.
perks of living over here on the southeast side of the city. Um, I personally would love to live, especially with my job, I would personally love to live like right in DuBose Park, just somewhere
Oh,
right
okay.
in the middle of the city, because I oftentimes have to drive, in every different direction. And so, yeah, I think maybe my next home will be somewhere very central, so that everywhere in San Francisco is just 10 minutes away, and I can be at a showing anywhere really easily.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. So now, when you think back to your 9-year-old self, what would the 9-year-old Derek say to the grown man Derek today?
You're old.
Now, wait a minute.
Oh,
So you look like,
yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how old I think you look, but you are not old, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I just turned 45 and
And you think that's old?
it's amazing. It like the number feels old, but I feel great. I still feel like a child. I mean, that's, part of living here in the Bay Area. There's definitely this magic in this place, and we're so lucky to live here, and it's a dream
You
to
know,
live
some a
in.
lot of people gonna get you talking about 45 is old, okay? So you don't know.
Yeah. We shouldn't have gone into numbers.
Yeah, you definitely don't know what old is if you think 45 is. Okay, so Derek, can you leave the audience with some parting words for those people that are looking to buy or sell?
Just take that first step. It seems overwhelming. I think, and part of our job as realtors is, you take this really overwhelming task, which involves, 50 steps, and we've got to break it down into little bite-sized steps, and you just got to take one step at a time. It starts with reaching out to a realtor, stopping by an open house, calling a lender to see what you qualify for. And just don't get overwhelmed by it. There's lots of great professionals in this industry that can help walk you through the process. And now is a great time to do it because I think the buyers that are stepping forward in today's market are getting terrific values. Interest rates will most likely come down over the next couple of years and reduce your payment. You can refinance, hopefully around 5% within the next few years. And yeah, just don't sit on the sidelines forever. Um, there's nothing like owning a home to really feel like you have a stake in your community.
Now, if someone wanted to reach out to you, how would they connect you? How would they reach out to you? How will they connect with you?
Sure. I have a website which I can send the link through. It's Derek Jackson, Derek-Jackson.com. Um, uh, Send me an email if you have any questions. That's Derek, Derek, at vanguardsf.com. And I'd be happy to be a resource to any of your listeners.
Oh, that is awesome. So what I'll do is make sure when I post your information, I'll have that information in the post, okay?
That'd be
So then
wonderful.
that way they'll do that. All right. Because real estate isn't just where you live, it's about how you live. And when you've got the right guide by your side, home becomes more than a place. It becomes your story. Thank you, Derek, for joining me.
That's a beautiful way to end. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And to my audience, thank you for listening. I'd love hearing from you. I do my best with answering as many questions as I possibly can. I can't answer all of them, but I do try to answer as many as I can. So I'd like for you to please subscribe, come back, and share. Thanks again, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Kelly.
Uh-huh.